Welcome back everyone. So in today's video I will be showing you how to create Lakeflow Declarative Pipeline on a Databricks environment. Okay, so we'll be going through the entire process. I'll show you how to set up your catalog, how to ingest data into the environment, and how to go about creating a Lakeflow Declarative Pipeline in Databricks environment. Okay, so I'm right here on the Databricks documentation page, and this is Lakeflow Declarative Pipeline. So previously they used to call this one Delta Live Tables or DLT. So if you're wondering where DLT is, they have renamed it to Lakeflow Declarative Pipelines. Okay, and if you scroll down here, you can see at a very high level how the DLT or Lakeflow Declarative Pipeline looks like now. Okay, so this is a Databricks documentation official website, right? So you can see here you are creating your streaming table, and on the right side here you have your dashboard, right, or your UI, and showing the pipeline. So this is a new UI here. They call it Lakeflow UI Editor, I think, and this is a new one. So we will see this in action once we get into the demo in this video. Okay, so just showing you how it looks like. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that now. So what I will do is I will navigate over to my Databricks environment here, and if you see here, I am using the Databricks free edition. Okay, so I have previously made videos on how to sign up to free edition. Okay, so Databricks free edition, and I did a number of other videos as well, like how to use the UI, how to navigate through the UI, and all of that, right? So I'll put the links for those in the description if you want to take a look. All right, so in this video we will be going through the process of creating a Lakeflow Declarative Pipeline or a DLT in Databricks environment. Okay, so how do we go about that? Okay, so I will approach this in stages. So the first thing that I will do is to set up our catalog, and then from there we will go ahead and ingest our data to landing layer, and then we will go ahead and pick the data from there and create our pipeline. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'll go over to catalog. Catalog basically is where you create your tables and you put your data files and all of that, right? So anything data related will be within the catalog environment here, or the catalog section. Okay, so if you click into this, you can see I do have two catalogs right now, and the first one here is Workspace, and this one comes in default when you sign up to the free edition. This system one contains just overall system views for Databricks, so you don't have to worry about this. So for this video, what I will actually do is I will create another catalog. Okay, so I'm going to create another catalog, and we will use that for our demo. Okay, so to do that, I think if you click your organization, is it, or Workspace, you actually no, I think you have to click catalog here. So just go back to catalog, and we want to create a catalog. So you click catalog here, and you go to catalogs, and you can see we have 3 catalogs now. So let's go ahead and create one, and I'm going to call this one Lakeflow demo, like so. Okay, and then for the types here, I'm just going to go with standard type. So this one contains tables, views, functions, all of this. This is good. And then we will go ahead and hit create for this. Okay, so you can see now your catalog has been created. Let's go ahead. You can check access, limit the workspace in which users can access this catalog. I'm not going to limit that. I'm just going to go ahead and hit next and save. Okay, so we have created our catalog now, and you can see it showing here, right? Inside this catalog, you can see that we have default schema, right? So we will be using this catalog for this demo. So the next thing that we want to do here is create our schemas. So for this case, I'm going to create 2 schemas. The first one that we'll create is landing layer. Okay, so we'll create landing schema, and that's basically where we will ingest our data, right? So we'll bring our data to this landing schema, and then the other thing is, once our data is in the landing schema, we will go ahead and stream this data to prawns. Okay, so we will create a prawns schema here. Okay, so this prawn schema is the one now that we will have our DLT or a Lakeflow Declarative Pipeline write data to, right? Okay, so we have two schemas created now on top of our catalog, right? So you can see them here, this one here and this one here, right? Very good. Okay, so now that we have our schemas created, right? So we have our landing packet here and we have our prawns schema here. So the next thing that we'll do is go ahead and ingest our data. Okay, so you can do this in several ways to ingest your data. So you can go ahead and create a table within your landing. You can go just basically using DDL and things like that, or you can go ahead and import a CSV file, or you can just go ahead and stream data from, I don't know, it could be S3, ADLS if you have access to those locations, right? But in this video, because this is free edition, we do not have access to S3 or external locations. So what I'm going to do in order to ingest our data is I'm going to leverage the use of volumes. Okay, so volumes is another storage layer within Databricks where you can store files and structure data and things like that, right? So for that case, I'm going to create volumes within our schema, and then we'll ingest our data into that volume. Okay, so I'm going to go to this schema here now, and we'll go ahead and create a volume. And for this one, I'm going to call this one CDC Data, and we will leave this one as managed volume, and then I'll go ahead and create that. And then on top of this CDC data, I'm going to ingest two tables. Okay, so the first table that we will ingest will be called customers. So I'm going to create a directory for customers like so. And then the other one that we will ingest is for orders, right? So I'm just going to put orders here, and then we go ahead and create it. Okay, so our two volumes now have been created, or our two directories for two tables have been created right here, right? So what we'll do is, so from here now you can do two things, right? I mentioned if you have CSV files, you can upload them here, and then you can use those ones to mimic your streaming, right? And then upload the same here. But in this scenario, I will actually use a Python code that is going to bring data, right? I will write a Python code that is going to generate data and load them as CSV files to both of these tables right here. Okay, but if you have a static CSV file, you can upload them here, and just proceed, right? It should not be any different. The thing that we want to do here is, because we want to use autoloader is going to read your files, right, and then stream them. So assuming this was Amazon S3 or ADLS or GCS, then autoloader will be reading the files from there. I was trying earlier to explore if you can actually use autoloader with a table, and it doesn't seem like it, so you'll have to actually to use a actual file, because that's how autoloader works. So for that scenario, because I want us to use autoloader to stream this data into our prawns layer, I'm going to put the data inside a volume in Databricks. Okay, so that's just the reason why I'm using volumes. But if you just want to create a pipeline without having to go through autoloader, or if you're not trying to use autoloader, then you can you don't have to do all of this, right? You can just go ahead and create a table, and then on top of that you can create a streaming table on top of the table, right? So it's just basically why I am going with volumes here. Alright, so now we have our catalog set up. So we have our catalog here, and we have our two schemas created, and we have our volumes with the tables that we want to stream our data to. So if you open this, we don't have anything, but we will actually generate data to these locations shortly. Okay, so this one is done. Now the next thing that we want to do is to go ahead and upload our data here. And I mentioned for this scenario I will be using a Python code that is going to generate data and load them to these volumes. Okay, so for that I'm going to open a notebook. So I'm going to go to my workspace here, and I will go over to this notebook here, right? So the notebook that we have here is this one. I've written this notebook for us, and actually I'm going to move this notebook to another workspace. So I'm going to structure this workspace differently. I'm going to create here a folder called ingestion here. Maybe put capital letter here, ingestion, like so. Okay, so so we have ingestion here, and basically inside this ingestion we will put our notebooks or any Python code that is going to do any ingestion work. Okay, so now let's go back there. Let's go back here, and I'm going to move this. I think we can select this like so, and we can move it to ingestion right here. Okay, so our notebook has been moved, so let's go back there. So we'll go back to our ingestion here now, right? So this is our notebook here. I'm going to open this. All right, so at a very high level, what this notebook is going to be doing is it's going to use a Python code to just simulate and generate fake data, and it's going to load that data into our volume. But like I mentioned, you can actually upload a CSV file into those volumes as well. So all we're doing up here is basically importing our libraries that we'll be using. So I'm going to be using random generator here, or random function, and UUI ID to generate some unique IDs, and pandas as well. So let's go ahead and run this cell here. So I'll go ahead and click run here. And what this is going to do is it's going to start our compute cluster now. And for free edition, we are using serverless. So it's going to create for us a serverless compute, and it's going to use that to execute our queries, right? So you can see this cell is now good. And then for this one, I don't think I will be needing this. But this is basically the catalog that we'll be using. So I'm just probably going to hold on. If go down here, I'm not sure if I'm using that anywhere. So now we're not using this, so I'm going to delete this. Okay, so the first thing that we are doing here is creating a function to generate data, right? To generate customer data. Okay, and we are only generating 20 rows for this. So since we want to mimic a CDC basically stands for change data capture. So whenever your data changes in the source, you want to only capture the changes and bring those ones to your destination, right? So kind of incremental data loads. So I have this operation variable here holding, you know, this kind of like changes here, insert, update, delete. And then what I'm doing basically here is basically just generating the records, right? So for custom ID, we are going to be going that from like, you know, 0 all the way to number 19 or 20. And then we're just going to be incrementing it and looping through it, right? So this table will have a custom ID, it will have name, it will have email, phone number. All of these are random and not real values. And then it will have the op here. So the operator here will be, you know, any of these, right? Could be insert, update, delete, and then the timestamp when this one was run. Okay, so this is going to be timestamp of change when this change was done. Okay, so this is going to be the customer's data, right? And we are writing this into a pandas data frame. So I'm going to go ahead and run this cell here. And then the next thing we're doing here is to generate the order change events. Okay, so this is kind of like order data, and this one is going to create our order table, right? So it's going to generate the records for our order table. So it's kind of similar with the other one, and in this case we are also going to be generating 20 rows for order IDs. And we want to link this back to the customer, so we have to have a customer ID in our records if we want to do joining later, right? So assuming a certain customer ordered a certain, you know, item, so you want to have the order ID or the customer ID for whoever ordered it, right? So that's, you know, that's what we are doing here. The order amount, order status, operation, and the same thing with what we had on this other table, right? So very basic. So I'm going to go ahead and execute this. Okay, and down here we are going to call those two functions and put them into customer data frame and orders data frame. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and execute this as well. And then we want to convert our data frame now into a Spark because we want to load this to Databricks. Okay, so you can load this into Delta tables if you like, but in this case we want to load this into Databricks Volumes. Databricks Volumes. So we'll go ahead and execute this. Okay, so this one is going to convert our pandas data frame into basically it's going to convert our data frames into Spark data frames, right? Okay, so you can see now this one is done, and then from there we just go ahead and load this to our volumes. So you can see here I have the volumes here. So what I'm doing here is basically specifying the path for the customer's volume, which is what we have right here. So if you go right here and you go to our landing, that is the location for our customers, right? So you can see we have customers here, and orders also will be here as well, right? So this is basically what we are copying and putting them right here. Okay, so we'll go ahead and execute this. And then finally, what we're doing here is writing now our data. So we are writing this data that we have generated up here to this volumes, right? So for customers, it is going to be writing it to customer volume. For orders, it's going to be writing it to orders volume. And you can see here I'm putting coalesce here because when you run this, Spark is going to create partitions, like it's going to partition these files into smaller chunks. So if you want to have all of those be just to come as one file, then you can use this coalesce function. So that's the reason why I'm doing that here. And then I'll go ahead and run this. So this is going to run and load our data now to those volume tables that we have created in Databricks. So if this one runs properly, so you can see a single CSV file per table returned to Databricks volume. So that means that we have now loaded our data to the volume. So if you go back here now and we refresh this, we should be able to see some data. There we go. So you can see for orders here, you can see we have the success and this commit messages. The actual file is this one right here. This partition here. And if you click into this, we have our 20 records, right? So you can see order ID, customer ID, order amount. All of this is now stored within our volume. Lovely. And then for the other one, if you go back to customers, we should expect to see the same thing. There we go. So you can see now we have this file as well written here, and it has up to 20 records, right? There we go. So these are all the records that we generated, and this kind of like mimics CDC data. You can see for the operation we have updates, inserts, deletes, and all of that. Okay, so we have our data now in the landing layer, right? So we have all the data in landing layer. So what is the next thing that we need to do? Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is to go ahead and stream this data using autoloader and load them into our prawns layer, right? Okay, so we will go ahead and now use autoloader and stream this data to prawns. Okay, so that is now the part where our DLT or declarative Lakeflow pipeline comes in, right? Okay, so that's where now we'll create our pipeline. So what we'll do next is we will go ahead and create a pipeline that picks this data from this volume and streams them over to prawns layer. Okay, awesome. So how do we do that? All right, so to do that, what you want to do is go over to jobs and pipelines. Okay, so if you go over to jobs and pipelines right here, you will see currently I don't have any jobs or pipelines in this environment, but we can go ahead and create one. Okay, so you see there are 3 options here for you. So you can do ingestion pipeline, ETL pipeline, or a job. And this one right here for job, this is for orchestration. We will actually follow up this. We will, after we create this pipeline, I will follow up with another video where I show you how to use jobs to orchestrate your pipelines, right? Or even jobs within your Databricks environment. So so then let's go ahead and create our ETL pipeline now. Okay, so to do that, all you have to do is go to this section here for ETL pipeline. So I'm just going to click this, and this UI actually is pretty new. Okay, so this is the Lakeflow UI editor. Okay, so this never used to be there. Databricks released this recently, and you can actually write your DLT pipelines here. So you can put your code here, and then this designer here actually lets you write within here and also visualize what is happening on the side. Okay, so what we want to do here is let's go ahead and name this. So I'm going to call this one landing to prawns, right? So this is going to stream our data from landing layer to prawns layer. And then what you want to do also is to select where you want this DLT or your Lakeflow pipeline to write your data to, right? So for that, I'm going to select the workspace here or the catalog. For the catalog, we will choose Lakeflow demo. And then for the schema, we will choose prawns. Okay, so that is where when we run our pipeline, this Lakeflow pipeline is going to write now our transformed or stream our data to, right? So we want to select prawns for that. If you have like other schemas that you also want to publish to, you can still do it within your notebook. I think there's a concept called Databricks or default publishing mode. It used to be called direct publishing mode, but you can do that. I also did a video previously on the same, so you can take a look in that video if you're interested on default publishing mode. But okay, so we are going to be writing to prawns now, and then the next step is to select how we want to create our pipeline. So there are a number of options here. So you can use SQL, you can use Python, or you can start with empty file or any existing assets. So all of these are code. So if you go with this one, it will give you a sample code. If you go with this one, it gives you a sample code as well. Or you can start from scratch, or you can also add existing assets. So let's say you have a notebook that you have written somewhere else, let's say in your workspace, the same way we did our ingestion. Then you can just come here and then navigate to that location, and then it's going to import it for you. Okay, so I also did the same thing in the last video. So if this is something that you want to take a look, you can take a look in that video as well. Okay, so in this scenario here, I'm going to go with start with empty file. Okay, so we'll go ahead and click this, and you can select the language for this. So I'll leave it as Python, and the folder where this one is going to be created, right? The folder where your code will be located. Let's see if we can change this. By default, it's going to your users under your email, but we created a actually we'll create another one. Let's go. If you browse here, you see ingestion here. Let's go ahead actually, and I'm going to go to workspace here, and we want to put this in another folder for DLT, right? So let's put this one for, or maybe you call it pipelines, right? Okay, and then so if we go back now to this, we will put this one right here in pipelines. There we go, and we will use Python code for this. So I'll select this, and that one now is going to open that file right here in our editor. Okay, so you can see now in our UI editor here, we have our pipeline here. Okay, so we have our assets now here showing for us, and by default you can see you have my transformation.py, and on the right here you have your pipeline graph, showing you can see the pipeline graph here. So once we run this, you will see the flow of your pipeline. You have dry run here. So dry run lets you to confirm if your code, your pipeline code is working properly, and before you run it, right? So it's not going to, when you click it, it's going to go through it, but it's not going to really materialize anything to your destination, right? Okay, so those are the two options here. You do have comments here, and if you're this is good if you're collaborating with other teams, and then you have any version history here. So any changes that you make to this pipeline will be showing right there. Okay, So you can just, if you click it, it's going to hide, and then it's also going to show up as well. You can also maximize it. If you click that, it's going to make it bigger. So all of these things are here for you. And then this is going to be the compute that your pipeline will be using. Any settings here, if you want to change the settings for the pipeline, you can put them right here. So the pipeline, you can see the pipeline name here, you can change it, the pipeline ID, the creator, owner, runner as. You can also change this, and where your code is going to be located, right there. And then the default schema that we are using, and the catalog here, also you can edit them here as well. You can also change this. If you have option to use all-purpose compute, you can use them here, but in this case this is going to be serverless because we are using the free edition, and all of this, right? So you can add a number of other things within your pipeline. You can also schedule it, and we'll do this in the next video. You can schedule it, you can share all of these things, right? So now let's go ahead and put our code to ingest our data, right, or for our pipeline. So you can do it in two ways, right? You can write your code in SQL, create streaming, live tables and things like that, or you can use Python, and that's what we're going to do. And let me go ahead and grab the code for that. I'm just going to copy it and paste it here, right? So I'm going to just put it right here because I don't want you guys to be watching me typing from scratch. So I'll just walk you through this code, right? So this is the code that is going to be ingesting our data to prawns layer. And so one thing before we go through this code, you see up here we are using this editor is on, right? So this Lakeflow pipeline editor. So this one, this is in preview now, but you can actually you can code, preview, orchestrate your pipelines in one streamlined IDE. Previously this option wasn't there. What you had to do was to write your pipeline somewhere else and then come here, and then when you create your pipeline, you had to specify where your code is. But in this scenario, everything is within the same UI. So you can see on the right side here you have your pipelines here, on the left side here you have your code. So this is also nice, if you want to see what's happening, right? Okay, so this is a Python code, but you can also use a notebook. Okay, so what's happening on this code right here? Okay, so right here we are going to be importing DLT. So DLT is the framework that we'll be using in order to create our Delta live tables. Okay, so this is going to be a function that's going to be of importance for us. And you come down here, we are also going to be importing some of these other functions that we'll be using. Okay, so and then here this is the location for our volumes, because we do have two tables and we want to also stream those tables, the orders and the customer table. We want to stream them over to prawns, right? So I have specified here the locations for those. So you can see here for customers it is in customers one, and then for orders the same thing here. And then right here I'm creating this dictionary here to map for customers where to get it from, for orders where to get it from, and all of that. And then now down here is where we are creating our streaming table using autoloader. Okay, so cloud files here is autoloader. So we are passing our table name here and where it is located, and we are basically returning a spark.read stream, and we are passing in the options for autoloader. So in this scenario you can see that we are using cloud files, which is basically autoloader behind the scenes. And then the file format for our files is CSV. We are going to be inferring the column types, and also we will be using the headers as well. So this file contains headers, so we'll be using those ones when we create our table. We are not specifying any schema, but you can also do that. If you want to change the schema for this file, you can specify the schema as well, right? For schema evolution, if anything changes, we want to create add new columns to our destination table, and we want to load this over here. So we want to load this from the partner, which is basically the volume, right? So we want to load this from this location here, and we are adding additional column here for ingestion timestamp. So this is going to be for auditing, just to show you when you ingested this data into your prawns table. Okay, so this is basically our function here that is going to be calling autoloader to stream our data. And then down here, because we have two tables that we want to create, we are just basically iterating through the two tables here and the volumes as well, and we are going to be creating a DLT table for each. So you can see here we are putting this decorator for at DLT. So this is how you do it in Python. So if you want to create a streaming table in Python, you have to do the at DLT.table. So this is going to create a table. If you want to do a view, you can do it DLT.view, and it's going to create it for you. And then we are passing the name. So the name for the table right here. So you can see here we are passing the table name here, right? So the table name will basically be the name for this table, and which will be right here, and then orders also will be the name as well. Okay, so it's going to be getting that from the configurations up here, basically just iterating through it and creating our DLT live table. All right, so we are calling back create stream, passing the information that we need here. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So you can see this code is not so long, and we are basically telling DLT or Lakeflow to go ahead and create this table for us. So this is why they call it declarative, because nowhere here are we doing any DDLs, right? So we are not doing any DDL statement here. We are not doing any insert statement here. So all we are doing is telling Lakeflow or a DLT to go ahead and do this for us. And this is how we are telling it to do, right? So we are just passing the name of the table, the orders, and where things are located, and then DLT will do its thing, right? Lakeflow will do its thing. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So when this one is created, we are going to create this. The table will be created inside our prawns catalog or a schema. So if we go back to our prawns catalog here. Okay, so in our catalog we have our Lakeflow demo, which is our catalog name, and then inside prawns we do not have any tables right now. What we expect when we run this pipeline is that those two tables be created, right? So the customers one will be created with the data from our customer volume, the same thing with orders, right? So that is basically what we expect to see. And now I think this is pretty much it. I have tested this code, so it should be able to run. But now let's go ahead and do a dry run for this. So I'm going to go right here and do a dry run. So if you click dry run here, what is going to happen is that DLT is going to go through the code here and see how you have declared things, right? So it's going to look at your code and say, okay, this is what you have told me to do. I'm going to do that. So it's basically going to go through this code and scan things up, and it's going to show how things will be looking here. So it might take a few minutes to do this, because again, this is the free edition environment, so the compute is not so great. So it's going to take a few minutes to do that. Okay, so you can see now the run is complete, and things seems to be looking good. When it's going to tell you this is going to be a table, streaming table, and orders is also going to be a streaming table when it's created, right? So things seem to be looking okay now. And if there are any errors, you will see errors thrown in this right side here or down here, right? So looks like our DLT pipeline is looking good. So let's go ahead now and run this pipeline. Okay, so to do that, we'll just go ahead and click here where it says run pipeline. Okay, so just click that, and now this is going to create your streaming table and actually materialize it in the destination catalog, right? So in this scenario, it's going to create a streaming customer table and create it within our prawns layer or a schema. The same thing with orders. Okay, so these two tables will be created in prawns, and their data also loaded as well. Okay, so you can see here you actually do have 20 records that are processed and also inserted, the same thing here. And if you click into this one here, down here you can actually preview the data, right? So you can actually preview within the pipeline itself how your data will be looking like in the table. So you can see here we have for our customers, we have our 20 records, and we can see how the data looks like. We have a rescued data here that has been added, and our ingestion timestamp also added as well. And the same thing with orders here. If you go there, you will see that we have our orders available there as well, right? So looks like we have orders showing what happened. So for orders, it is loading custom ID. Yeah, something is up with this. Hold on. So let's go to orders here. Okay, so for orders, right here, orders. Yeah, okay, so orders is something is up with orders. So orders is loading the data from the customer table. So let's go back and see if we can correct that. Okay. Oh yeah, I know why. So you can see the reason is because of the path here, right? So you'll see that on this one here, we are passing the customer's volume path. So I need to change this. So we need to change this one here and put it as orders right there. Okay. So we are going to change that, and for that one here, we will actually go ahead and do a full refresh on this so that it wipes out the destination without affecting, because generally when what happens is the first time you run, it's going to create that, and then subsequently it's going to be appending the data because it's streaming. So the initial run that you do, it's going to be using that. So if anything changes the next time you run, it's going to be a problem. So for this one, if we were to run without having to, and actually let's do that, let's actually run this again and see what happens, because I expect it to fail, but who knows, maybe it is intelligent enough, but I expect this to fail, or if it doesn't fail, it is going to create the records that we will have in our table will be okay. There we go. So it actually failed, right? So you can see here there was an error trying to partition this data. Yeah, that's what I expected. So for scenarios like that, what we want to do is to do a full refresh. Okay, so we want to refresh this, do a full refresh, and a full refresh is going to clean up this table and recreate it, right? So let's go ahead and here, and then we'll just go ahead and do a full refresh. Okay, so start a full refresh. So what it's going to do is it's going to basically recreate this table, and hopefully it's going out to go to our volume and get the data as expected. Okay, so let's see what happens. Okay, so that's what it is here. Go down here. Okay, so it seems like it completed, right? Yeah, it did. Okay, let's go there now and refresh this. Okay. Okay, so custom ID. The records here. What's happening here? Okay, maybe let me refresh this page because I feel like something is cached here. So we go here again. Yeah, there we go. All right, there we go. Now it's showing properly now. So yeah, if you run into situation like that, you might want to refresh the page because it seems like it doesn't update in real time. So we have order ID now showing up. We have all of our 20 records loaded, and our data is showing up from our orders table, right? So you can see all of that information down here. When you click into each of the table, it's going to be showing the data down here. The same thing here. So that's one thing that you can actually see. You can view data here. You can navigate to the code, brings you to where the code is. And then the other way of also checking your data and querying it is now going back to your catalog. We expect all of our tables to have been created now, right? So you come back to your catalog. Prawns, now we do have two tables here, right? So you have your customers table, and let's go ahead and preview this. So you do need to have the SQL warehouse here started. Okay, you can see some of the details here, right? You know what type of table it is. So this is going to be a streaming table because it's using autoloader. Naturally, autoloader it creates streaming tables, right? And then the orders as well is also going to be a streaming table. You can see it here, right? So and then the you know the column names here, and you can see the sample data as well. So we should be able to see the sample data as well for this. So there we go, right? So you have your data now from the orders landing loaded here with DLT or a Lakeflow pipeline, right? So yeah, we have your ingestion, you have rescue data here, you have all of this data now loaded, and we have 20 records as we intended. Okay, so we have now created our pipeline, right? So we have created our pipeline, and the pipeline ran, and it created those tables for us. Again, I mentioned we did not have any DDLs anywhere, right? So that's one thing that you have to note when you're using pipelines or autoloader. If you use autoloader or DLT, basically, I think if you use DLT, then you cannot use DDLs. So you cannot say create like you cannot say pre-create this table, right? If you pre-create this table using DDL, like create table customers, and then you know, you put the column names here, just as you will do you know, a regular DDL, right? If you do that and you try to use DLT, it's going to complain, right? So DLT will do the work for itself. It will create a table, it will insert the data, and it will manage that table for you. So that is one thing with DLT that is also pretty nice. Okay, so it's, you declare it, it's going to create for you. And then now moving forward, because it's a streaming table, if you have new data that gets landed to your volume, for example, what autoloader will do is it is going to pick only the latest changes, right? And then ingest it and bring it to your prawns. So that's the beauty of autoloader. Every time you get now change data to your landing, the next time you run this pipeline, it's not going to process everything. It's only going to process the records have changed since the last time that you ran the pipeline. All right, so that is how you create a pipeline now in Databricks using declarative Lakeflow, or they call it declarative pipelines. Okay, so it's still a new term, but you will get used to it. I prefer the DLT better, right? Delta Life Tables, but Databricks seems to be unifying everything. And if you have noticed, if you have worked with Databricks, actually, they keep changing the UI quite a bit. So I'm making this video today. Probably when I come back in 3 or 4 months or even 6 months, this this UI might be looking different, and they might have added more features. So one thing that you will see, for example, for jobs and pipelines, previously this used to be in its own section, but now they have put them together, right? So if you have jobs and pipelines, you'll see them here, and this is the one that we just created, right? And you can see, you can monitor, it's running here. If you have any jobs, you know, these are the orchestration things, you can see it here, right? So this is where you can also monitor, but previously this never used to be in the same section. So the UI keeps changing. But yeah, that is how you create a DLT pipeline using declarative or a Lakeflow declarative pipelines. Actually, this is the older UI here. If you click here and you come here, you will see that this is how it was in the older UI, and you can come here and you know, see some of these things. But if you want to go to the new pipeline monitoring off, if we want to do that, you know, it brings you to the new monitoring pipeline. And also, if you want to edit this, you can edit that like that. You can just click edit, and it brings you to your code, and also just to the original page where we were before, right? Lovely. And you can see when we did the full refresh, you select it and you do a full refresh on it, it only ran this and omitted the other one. So that's the other thing with TLD pipeline. So if you want to refresh a few tables, then just select the table itself, and then just there are 3 options here. Select table for refresh. So this second option here will not clean the entire table. It's only going to bring the latest changes. So if there is anything that has come to your landing, it's going to only pick those changes and bring them over here. But for full refresh, it's going to clean everything up and then create it from scratch. So this is quite destructive if you don't want to do that, because if say you had data in your landing and the history has disappeared, if you do full refresh, it's only going to pick what's in your landing. So it's not going to account for any data that you might have deleted, right? So you have to be careful about full refresh. Right guys, so that's all I had for you in this video. I just wanted to show you how to create a Lakeflow declarative pipeline on Databricks, and we went through the steps of doing that. So we started with our catalog, and I showed you how to create a catalog. We created our 2 schemas here, prawns and landing, right? So in landing we created our volumes, where we put our 2 tables here, and then eventually we loaded that data to prawns using a DLD pipeline, or a Lakeflow declarative pipeline. And for that one, I had the data coming through Python, just generating sample data. This one loaded into our volumes, and then our pipeline picked that data from our volumes right here, right? And then went ahead, used autoloader to stream that data over to our prawns location. And then we went ahead, triggered our pipeline, and we can see that our pipeline successfully ran. Alright guys, so that is pretty much all I had for you in this video. I hope this video was helpful, and if it was, please give it a thumbs up, and also do let me know in the comment section if you want me to make more videos like this. If you enjoy this type of videos, I will be making more, but definitely do subscribe to the channel if you have not, so that you can stay updated. Alright guys, I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.